The excursion treks forward again along the timeline, landing just 36 million years ago, right about midway between the extinction of the dinosaurs and modern day. It's the Eocene age, the fourth most dangerous sea of all time, and home of the most ferocious sea mammal that ever lived. A mangrove swamp in the Eocene age is one of the luscious habitats the Earth has ever known. And yet this very spot would become the Sahara Desert, eventually commanding views of both Cairo and the pyramids. But far worse was in store, and soon. In only a few million years, the Earth would suffer its first cataclysmic extinction. An estimated 20% of all life would be blown away.
The Eocene is the beginning of the time of mammals. They rule the earth, they rule the sea, and as I was about to find out, they even rule the bit in between.
These look really promising. Look, the feet have splayed out just like a camel's to support the weight, spread the weight so they don't sink into the sand. But it's a really curious track. Look, they're widely spaced. Most animals, when they walk, it's one foot in front of the other. It's almost like this animal swings the weight of its body from side to side as it's walking along. This is really weird. So it must be a big, big animal that waddles along. Let me see if I can... Every tracker's dream, look. A pile of fresh dung. It's so fresh you can almost feel the heat. Oh yeah, if you smell that, it's a really sweet, not too unpleasant, a sweet smell. And I think the animal I'm looking for is a fruit eater.
That made me feel a little more comfortable walking around here. But even fruit eaters can be dangerous. So I still had to mind my step until at least I knew what I was dealing with.
It's the only animal that waddles like that. It is a surreal creature with a funny name. It's called an Arsinoitherium. These creatures have extraordinary horns. You can tell this is a male because they splay out. The females, they're much more vertical. And this is what he uses for defence and for fighting. You've got disadvantages too. Look, he's looking at me now, but he can't look because the horns are actually covering his eyes. He knows we're here, but he's not approaching or anything, not running away. He's edgy, but I really want to get a closer look. I'm going to try something, see whether he'd like to eat something from the 21st century.
Arsinoitherium might look like a rhino, but he's actually an elephant's distant cousin. And yet he lives like a hippo, on land and in the sea. Arsinoitherium is a sea monster, all right, but an amphibious one. There's plenty of food in the mangroves for such a huge vegetarian, but living with the tides took some getting used to. And now he's probably more at home in the water than on the beach. With legs that are permanently bent, he's a great swimmer, but not much when it comes to walking. The Eocene is a momentous age for mammals. They'd be extinct in only another million years, yet some were soon totally adapted to life in the ocean. Like Dorodon, a species of ancient whale distantly related to the modern dolphin, only not nearly as smart. Dorodon would never make it in the CIA, like some modern dolphins. But there's a real sea monster roaming these waters that looks strikingly similar, but eats Dorodon for breakfast.
We're sailing right here in the middle of the Tethys Sea, which runs between Europe and Africa. This is a pretty unfamiliar map because it's not like this in the 21st century. This sea closes up and dries up, and we're actually sailing over what will become the Sahara Desert.
Somewhere in these waters, there's a killer waiting to test ancient brute force against 21st century technology. Counting down to the fourth most dangerous sea in the ancient world, and the 50-foot equivalent of a mega killer whale, the kind of sea monster that would make Nessie look like a guppy. Basilosaurus is the largest and most dangerous predator in the Eocene Sea.
Drop the anchor!
The configuration of the bones in the fossil skulls of Basilosaurus is really good evidence that they can hear pretty well. Modern whales, they are so noisy, and we're hoping that Basilosaurus is just the same. We've got underwater recording equipment here, and if we can eavesdrop on their conversations, we should be able to locate where the whales are.
Nigel. I think we've got something there.
Oh, that is spooky. It's definitely a whale.
Definitely.
And maybe we found Basilosaurus. The whale's still in the vicinity, but where is it? The trouble is, sound travels much farther and faster in water than in air, and he could be miles away. So what we need to do is try to entice him to us. That sound, that eerie sound that you're hearing, that's what we recorded earlier, that's his calls, but we're playing them right out into the ocean with a massive speaker, and hopefully he'll think there's another whale in his territory and come towards us. Scientists have tried this with modern whales with mixed success, but it was the best hope we had of bringing in a Basilosaurus. Getting louder, as loud as it's ever been.
I don't know how long these animals are going to hang around. You've got to be fast on this one.
This was a truly monstrous creature, one of the largest marine predators of all time. Basilosaurus could reach 75 feet in length, even larger than a sperm whale.
So this is exciting. It could come from anywhere beneath me, behind me. So I'm actually using the boat as a shield. This big shape here, it's as though there's a really massive super predator around, so they won't come in too close. They haven't got as big a brain as the modern whales. They're not such social animals, so they may treat a person as prey.
Basilosaurus was most definitely a whale, but in these warm waters, it didn't need the tons of blubber like its modern descendants.
And look at this thing. Compare it with the boat, that gives a great idea of scale. And he's over half the length of this 80-foot boat, 50 feet or so. And this really is a fearsome predator. I'm glad I'm next to the boat. I wouldn't fancy being in open water with this one. I wish the sound technician, I wish he'd turn this off. It's really starting to distress the whale. He's coming in close. Actually bitten the speaker off. He's shaking it like a terrier, shaking a rat. So we've lost our speaker, but it doesn't matter. We had a really brilliant view of a Basilosaurus.
The Eocene age is home to monsters from the fourth most dangerous sea of all time. But that will change as the continents drift and cold waters flow into tropical seas. And the great mass extinction to come will claim the mighty Basilosaurus too.